Hello, it's Ashley here from Paper and Twine. It is Saturday, the 2nd of October. It is a very miserable and slightly cold, wet Saturday afternoon. So I have got a cup of something here. There's nothing nice in it. It is just one of those frothy toffee nut latte thingies. So give Barry your order. He's on hand. We've got some nice chocolate cake in. I'll show you a picture of that now. So Ella made that chocolate cake. I don't know how many layers it's got because I didn't see it before it was decorated. It's actually for my father-in-law's birthday. But yes, she made that, and it smells absolutely divine. But give Barry your order. I'm sure we can find something nice for you to eat. So 2nd of October, that means it is time for me to recap on my favourite things of the previous month. So September, 30 days in September. Wasn't it a marvellous month? We had some fantastic weather for the UK. And for the time of year, really beautiful sunny days and really warm temperatures. But since October has hit, the weather has gone haywire. 2nd of October, it would have been my dad's parents' birthdays today. They were both born on the same day. My granddad was born in 1910 and my grandma was born in 1914. Obviously, sadly, they're no longer with us, but I have very fond memories of them, and I do miss them, yes. But 2nd of October, what were my favourite things in September? Well, my favourite activities, I have done a lot of blackberry picking. I think I've had 3 or 4 major forages, and my last forage was last week, one day last week, on a quite a nice sunny day. And I picked about 2 kilos of blackberries, and I've made some more blackberry jam. You might have seen on some of my other videos the jam. Well, I have done a video on the jam making process. I made it for the first time. The second time I think I was a little bit more successful. I still had to boil the jam for a little bit quicker, a little bit longer rather than the recipe said. This isn't a full jar, so we're not giving this one away. This is a second jar for us, and it smells really lovely. And it's not quite as thick as the last one because I think I did overset the last one, but I gave a jar away to one of Pete's work colleagues, and he said, we saw him yesterday, and he said he and his wife had really liked it. So that's nice. What else have I liked about September? Going back to theatre train, 3rd Saturday today. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I just wish I could do more. Yeah, sadly, it's just Saturday mornings, but you know, if I could do that a day a week in a really nice, supportive environment, I'd be like a pig in muck. I'd be as happy as a pig in muck. And our numbers are low compared to what they had been pre-pandemic, but they're slowly growing. We've had some new students last week and some new ones this week. I just hope they stay. So I've loved going back to theatre train. Talking of going back to things, I've also gone back to knitting. We have been doing Zoom for the last 6 weeks or so, which has been fun, just 3 of us. But we meet at a hotel in Rugby, and we've gone back there, and I couldn't go the first week because we were away in Ashbourne, which I'll tell you about later. But I went back this week and it was lovely. Oh, it was just really lovely, and I am enjoying doing my knitting again, which I'll talk about later on in this video. And the other thing, going back, I've done lots of going back. My friend Hazel, who owns Dragon's Papercraft in Rugby, she does a lot of online workshops, which I don't tend to join in, but she also runs them in her shop. She has various groups that you can go to, and I used to go to a particular group on a Thursday night. It's once a month and it's £10, and it's such a lovely group of ladies that are in my little group. So went back this month and we made a project which I shall share with you. So Hazel has got her own craft line coming out in October. Well, we are in October, later this month, which we're all very excited about. I'm sure she's the most excited of all of us. She's very good friends with Julie Hickey, and we made a project using Julie Hickey's Christmas stamps, and this is what we made. The actual box concept, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't know if you can see there's a spine, because we had to cut away things, and I am hopeless at cutting with a knife. Yeah, so card maker of the year, I was the remedial one. I'd got the first thing wrong and had to be given a new piece of card. So you open it up and that's what is inside. So we cut this frame out. So it's essentially a trifold, but with a box bit built in. A little bit busy for me, the design. This is matte and layered twice, and I suppose you'd write your message on the back. But what I did like, and I don't know whether the camera is picking it up, and I'm going to do a tutorial on it, is this dragging technique. So you take an oxide, or I suppose it would work with a distress ink as well. You take the pad and you, at an angle, you drag it so it's direct to paper, and you get this kind of wood grain effect. As I say, that's maybe a bit better. A little bit heavy handed here because I'd not done it before, but I think with practice it's something that I could achieve. And then we've coloured in with inks. She suggested 3 colours. I'd only got one of them, which was the Ground Espresso, but she suggested Festive Berries and Rustic Wilderness. I think I've used Festive Berries Ordinary. I hadn't got the oxide, and then the oxide here, I used Mowed Lawn because I hadn't got Rustic Wilderness. And I'm trying not to spend any money. Although I did remind Mr. Paper&Twine last night that I still haven't had my birthday present, which is going to be some purchases from Lavinia. And I might sneak in some Tim Holtz as well. So I'm going to send him a wish list of what I want, and then he can buy what he thinks is appropriate money-wise. So that's quite exciting. Yeah, so we did this bit here and stamped this background panel and started colouring in, and I started colouring in from the middle, and she said, Ashley, you don't need to do that, we're covering that panel up. So yeah, so it was really stressful. Oh yeah, I enjoyed the social aspect of it, but I found the whole making a project in public quite stressful. If you can hear any noise or bing bonging, Mr. Paper&Twine is replacing our carbon monoxide detector, which expired after 10 years earlier this week, and we've got all this stuff, so you might hear voices in the background. Yeah, so it was good. The next one's on the 21st of October, and I think that's going to be a Christmas project. But then the next project in November is probably going to be using Hazel's collection, and I think I'm going to buy it. Yeah, so I'll share that with you. I hope Barry's looking after you. He needs looking after. I've got a little Barry update at the end, so I'll tell you about him. So that is my paper crafting project. Yeah, as I say, it's a little bit busy for me, but I like the concept of it, and I do really like this large Julie Hickey stamp here with the holly and the mistletoe and the star on top. Yeah, I do like that. So that's my favourite activities. I'm running out of space. What are we on to next? Now, in September, I only read one book, although I am 90% through a second book. So my book is We Know, You Know. And I like this title because there's different ways you can say it. So it could be We Know, You Know. Or it could be We Know, You Know. Yeah. So what is it about? It's about a woman who has a connection with an asylum. And I do find the whole history of how women were committed into institutions up until as late as the 1970s, really, I think, with just a husband's say-so and a doctor's signature. And then I think the Mental Health Act came into being. I think it was in the late 1970s. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I do find that whole aspect of history really, really fascinating. And I think I'd like to do some research into it. And certainly if I was still teaching drama in a high school, it would be a project that I would explore. And in fact, actually, I have done something about Bedlam, the famous institution, asylum that was in London, which goes back about 1,000 years or more. Yeah, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's about this woman who has a connection with this asylum, and it'd been closed down and went to rack and ruin, but a developer developed it into luxury accommodation, and this woman's husband buys one of the apartments in this asylum, and doesn't realise that his wife is frightened of this place. Yeah, so it's really good. Lots of different strands to the narrative and several different characters, and it goes between different time frames, so there's quite a bit set in the 1950s. I'll tell you about one character. She gets pregnant in the 1950s, late 50s, and she tries to abort the fetus, and obviously at the time abortion was illegal, and a friend of hers, she's living in the sticks in the countryside, and a friend of hers in London sends her some tablets to take, and she has a very bad reaction. Her parents are out when she takes these tablets, and she starts to bleed copiously and passes out, but doesn't lose the baby. And her parents were very repressed, stiff upper lip types, and call the GP to deal with their daughter, and they get her committed to this asylum when she's actually not mentally ill, but they commit her because she's tried to abort this fetus. Very interesting story. I really, really did enjoy it. Yeah, so it goes between the 1950s, the 1980s and present day. So yeah, I can well recommend that. I think it's Richard and Judy's book club. Yeah. So that was my book. Next month I will talk about the book I'm reading now, perhaps, unless I've read another one that I like more. So that's my book. Now, food. We've eaten well. Doesn't bode well for Secret Diary of a Serial Dieter on Monday, but one of the things I enjoyed, I only cooked last week. My mum and dad came for lunch, and I cooked out of Sainsbury's magazine. I think it would be the September issue, might be August, but possibly September's issue. Tuscan chicken pasta. Really nice. Something a bit different to what I've done before, but it's basically a lot of cherry tomatoes, baby spinach, chicken, cooked chicken breast, pasta mixed up with creme fraiche, garlic and parmesan. Really nice and fresh, not too high in calories, because creme fraiche is, you know, less calories than cream. Really nice. I'll just put a little photo of that in there for you. So that's the Tuscan chicken pasta, and Mr. Paper and Twine said that's a keeper, that's one to do again. Perhaps I'll do it on camera next time. And then another standout meal, we went to Ashbourne, which you'll see a little bit of later on in this video, and we went for 2 nights. The first night we went to an Anglo-French restaurant, which was lovely, really good quality food. We didn't bother with a starter. And we both went for fish. I had parmesan crusted cod, and the piece of cod was like about that thick. It was absolutely beautiful, and it was on a bed of risotto, asparagus and pea risotto, I think there was a bit more parmesan and perhaps some white wine stock in there. Really lovely. And a very nice little restaurant. It was busy in there. Mother and daughter, I think, owned it. But Anglo-French cuisine. We had a bottle of wine. I can't remember what fish Pete had. It might have been sea bass. And then I had a dessert. And we also went to Pizza Express earlier in September. And this meal in the restaurant with a whole bottle of wine cost less than the two of us eating in Pizza Express. And I had a glass of wine and Pete had a bottle of beer. So, yeah. Excellent value for money. So that's the Lamplight restaurant. If you're ever in Ashbourne, I can recommend that. Very reasonable prices and a lovely menu. Lovely menu. Moving on to beauty products. You know I'm not a huge beauty fan, but I had a haircut in September. I'm wearing Gladys today for the first time in ages, and I'm really glad actually because it's quite cold out, but she keeps me warm. And I know I say this every time I wear her, but I do need to wash her. She needs a bit of TLC. I think that might be a job to do next week. But I told you in another vlog that I was very happy with my experience at this particular hair salon. And the hairdresser was lovely. And she recommended this bedhead from Tiggy. Salty not sorry. It smells really nice. It just smells like being on the beach, you know, when you've got that salt spray and a little bit of suntan oil. Really nice. Yeah, if you could smell it, it's got a kind of slightly citrusy smell to it. It's really nice. Now I did pay in the salon $14.95. I think you can probably get it cheaper in chemists, Boots, whatever, supermarkets. I think I've seen it in Sainsbury's, so I probably did pay over the odds for it, but you know, that is my beauty product for September. We're moving on now swiftly to my screen activities. So Mr. Paper and Twine and I are enjoying watching I think it's series 3 of Mortimer and Whitehouse Go Fishing. Bob Mortimer and Paul Whitehouse. Those of you that are in the States, Bob Mortimer and Paul Whitehouse are both comedians, and they're men of a certain age. They're in their early 60s, I think, and they both had heart surgery. They both had heart attacks, and I think they've both had bypass surgery. I'm not sure. And Paul Whitehouse is a very keen fisherman, very keen angler. I think his father used to take him fishing when he was a little boy, and Bob Mortimer is kind of like the more novice of the two, and they just go to all these beautiful locations and fish for different types of fish. They always put the fish back, and they're very gentle with it. They show it to camera and then they put it back in the water, and you see the fish going off, swimming off, and they go and away. It's really lovely. And then they usually show us where they're staying. They do like a little bit of self-catering accommodation, and those are usually really nice looking places. And Bob always cooks something for them, and that's quite good fun to watch as well. But it's a lovely little half-hour programme. I don't know whether in the States you can get it on BBC iPlayer. I mean, we watch it on iPlayer, but I love it. Really love it. We both love it. It's very tranquil. You see some beautiful parts of the country. In the episode that we've just watched, which I think was episode 3, they were at Burley. Burley looks an amazing stately home and beautiful grounds, and they were given special dispensation to fish in the lake there. Not many people get fishing rights, so that was really lovely. The other thing that we're both enjoying is Alma's Not Normal, which again we're watching on BBC iPlayer. Quite an unknown female actress, but I'd heard this lady talking on Woman's Hour, and she was talking about this character Alma that she's created, and she's a bit scatty and gets up to all kinds of silly things, but the actress who plays her and has written the series, it's kind of semi-autobiographical in parts, and she was talking about the fact that she got expelled from school for wearing a bikini, and yeah, I just thought, oh, that sounds like a bit of fun. So we've watched a couple of episodes of that, which we've both really enjoyed. When Mr. Paper and Twine is out, I've been catching up on Holby. I'm way behind. And I'm very sad. They're axing Holby later this year or next year, I think. And that's a real shame. And you can see they're sort of starting to tie up all the loose ends. But I've enjoyed that. That's also on BBC. And then on Disney Plus, we've been watching Only Murders in the Building, which again is a short comedy, quite a wacky comedy. And it's got Steve Martin, the film actor, in it. And it's about these people who live in an apartment building in New York and they're solving murders that happen in this building. So it's quite nice. Moving on to favourite craft projects. So, I've done quite a few craft projects in September, but I think my favourite one at the moment is this cat one that I made as part of the A to Z collab that's hosted by Leslie Bromfield. Just noticed his muck on the back there. Muck on the back. Yeah, so I've used Lavinia stamps, Mooch and whatever the other cat is. So this is kind of like a trifold card, I suppose, because it's got 3 folds. So that opens out blank to write a message, and you've got space here. And then you've got that little flap there. And yeah, I really liked doing that. So I got a lot of pleasure out of doing that. I've been doing a lot of knitting. And next Saturday, I'll be coming on to do Woolly Pod number 5. I don't know. But yes, I've done this little witch with a broom and a little cat. All I've got to do now to complete the set is a little pumpkin. The pattern doesn't come with a pumpkin, but I found by the same designer a little pumpkin pattern. So I found a little bit of orange yarn and I'm going to do a little pumpkin. So that will complete that set. So yeah, it's quite sweet, isn't it? So, and I've loved knitting my cardigan. I'm not going to show you that. You have to tune in next Saturday to my Woolly Pod to see progress I've made with the cardigan. And of course I've started the mystery knit along, knitting Norwin the gnome, and I've put a little bit of that on Instagram as well. I'll leave a link to my Instagram down below because I'm starting to get more involved in that, and yeah, I'd like it if you followed me on there as well. Favourite craft products? Well, I must thank, I've got the other brushes in a pot on the windowsill, but I must thank the lovely Mrs. P from Mrs. P's Not So Secret Diary. She gifted me a set of blending brushes, which I used for the first time when I created the backgrounds on this card, and I have thoroughly enjoyed using them. And I'm going to get some more with different coloured handles, so I've got you know, a range that I can allocate different coloured brushes to different coloured inks. And what you must do with these is keep your oxides and your distress inks separate. You don't want to be dipping this into a distress ink after you've dipped it into oxide, or the other way around, because you'll contaminate you'll contaminate your pads. But those are lovely. They're so soft. They're like little cat's paws. They're really soft, really lovely. And the other crafting product that I'm enjoying using, I've had this a while, I think I showed it in a haul, is the Ranger multi-medium mat. And I did some napkin art and used this to adhere the napkin and seal it. And I think I prefer it to Mod Podge because it doesn't leave any shine. I found with using Mod Podge, I'd got a little bit of a shine. I know there's a whole range of Mod Podges that you can buy that give different finishes. Perhaps it was just the one that I was using, but this really does give a matte finish. And I know Natasha Foote, who is a prolific YouTube crafter, uses this as her main glue as well, so I might experiment with that too. But yes, I'm really enjoying that. Before I give you a Barry update, I'm just going to insert now a little bit of footage of our recent trip to Ashbourne. I hope you enjoyed that. It's been a long time since I've been walking in Derbyshire. I remember going as a very young child with my dad and his friend and their 3 boys, and we went to the stepping stones then when I was really little. I have been to Derbyshire a couple of times as an adult, but not walking. And yeah, it brought it home to me that really I am very unfit. Although I'm doing quite a lot of walking, we did go up quite a steep incline, and that was hard on the legs. I'm fine walking on the flat, and I can walk a long way on the flat now, and I can walk very briskly. But yeah, so we got lost on this walk. The place that we stayed at, the B&B that we stayed at, was called The Sixth Happiness, which is also the name of a film. And they've only got 1 room, and it's this lady called Birgit owns it. And it was very quaint, very quirky, lovely breakfast, as you saw there. Smoked salmon and cream cheese and boiled eggs and continental meats and cheeses, and yeah, fruit, lots of fruit, very nice. And she was very helpful, and she suggested a walk for us, which was a 3.5 mile round walk. Well, we got lost. I think we did 7 miles. We were both exhausted afterwards. And the second night we went to an Italian restaurant, Sofrito, I think it was called, or something like that, I'm not sure. And we had a lovely, genuine Italian waiter. And there were actually 3 Italian blokes in there eating away. So yeah, that was lovely, really nice meal. But it was lovely to get away. And the next day we did a more gentle walk round Carsington Water. We didn't go all the way round because we hadn't really got time. I think it's 8 miles round. I could have done it, but Pete said he didn't feel fit enough to do it all. So yeah, it was lovely to get away, really nice little break. We were very lucky with the weather. The first day when we walked, as you saw from some of the footage, bright sunshine, really lovely temperatures. It did cloud over a bit towards the end of the day, and the next day it was warm but a bit more overcast, but we were just lucky it didn't rain. You know, it's still teeming down with rain here now. Yeah, so that is my favourite things of September. Barry update. Now, Barry is putting on a very brave face. Last time I spoke to you about Barry, I was telling you about his relationship with Bart. Now, we know that he's been with Belinda and various other people, but he seems to have struck up quite a good relationship with Bart. Sadly, Bart had to go back to Poland because now with Brexit and everything, he's not entitled to work here. And a whole load of chickens came home to roost. Barry answered a call on Bart's mobile when Bart was in the little boy's room. And it turned out that Bart has got a wife at home in Poland and 4 children. So Bart has gone back to Poland with his tail between his legs. Barry is putting on a very brave face, but he's lonely again. And now the nights are drawing in. He wants someone to curl up on the sofa with. Doesn't matter how they identify, doesn't matter what their gender is. So we might give online dating a go. Watch this space. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my favourite things in September video. And if you are still here, or one of you that still might be watching, if you'd like to win this book, I will send it to you. I'd like you to be a visible subscriber, obviously. And I'd like you to comment down below what your favourite thing in September was. Off to do some baking now. That'll make the house smell nice on a miserable Saturday afternoon, won't it? Thank you so much for your company. If you're still here, I will be back soon. In fact, I'll be back tomorrow with day 3 of my 31 days of Christmas crafting. I'll be back soon. Bye, everybody.